How many Venezuelan warships would it take to challenge just one U.S. Navy destroyer? And Arleigh Burke, the backbone of America's sea power. Could a handful of ships operating close to home ever stand a chance against one of the most advanced war machines afloat? That question is dividing analysts, stirring quiet debates in naval circles. Because what's unfolding right now in the Caribbean is not just a show of force. It's a test of nerve, pride, and perception. When U.S. warships enter the Caribbean, the water itself seems to hold its breath. From satellite imagery, you can see the faint wakes of gray hulls slicing through the deep blue. Powerful silhouettes of destroyers and cruisers moving deliberately, almost silently, toward a region that has long been a political powder keg. Washington calls it a routine deployment, a freedom of navigation patrol. But for Caracas, it looks and feels like a statement, because just beyond the shimmering horizon lies the sovereign coastline of Venezuela, and this time, they are watching closely. From the naval base at La Guaira, Venezuela's small but proud fleet has stirred to life. The decks of the Mariscal's Sucre-Class frigates glint under the tropical sun. A pair of Guayquerí-class corvettes, modern by local standards, slip away from the pier, their crews standing at attention as the national flag flutters above. It's a rare sight these days. Venezuela's warships moving out to sea, not for show, but in response. The United States has deployed several Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, each a floating fortress of technology. Radar systems capable of tracking hundreds of targets, vertical launch cells ready for Tomahawk and SM-6 missiles, and a crew trained for near-constant readiness. Accompanying them is a Ticonderoga-class cruiser, a veteran of countless operations, bristling with sensors and command systems. Together they represent not just power, but presence, a reminder that the U.S. Navy can appear anywhere, anytime. In contrast, Venezuela's navy is small, aging, and constrained. Yet there is something undeniable about the symbolism of their movement. To their people, it is defiance. A message that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they will not appear idle. And so, a new question begins to surface. Is this an exercise in deterrence, or the quiet rehearsal for something larger? For now, the Pentagon insists it is business as usual. Freedom of navigation, they repeat. A term that sounds calm, procedural, until one remembers that the last time a U.S. fleet drew this close to a Latin American coastline, the world held its breath. Every move in these waters echoes with history. But this time, Venezuela is determined to be seen, to respond, even symbolically. Their core force consists of the Mariscal Sucre-Class frigates, built in the 1980s, equipped with automatic anti-ship missiles. Though the systems are dated, they remain capable if used wisely. Alongside them sail the Guayquerí-class corvettes, part of the Avante 2200 series designed in Spain. Lighter, faster, and equipped with Exocet missiles for coastal defense. They do not possess stealth coatings or phased array radars. They lack the deep strike range of a Tomahawk, but they have something else: familiarity with the terrain. The Venezuelan crews know these waters intimately. Every current, every inlet, every radar shadow cast by the jagged Caribbean coastline. In a conflict close to home, that knowledge can be a weapon of its own. Could geography and grit balance out the sheer scale of U.S. technology? Let's look closer, because this comparison tells us more than raw numbers ever could. Category Venezuela, United States. Main warships: Avante 2200, Guayquerí, Sucre-Class frigates, Arleigh Burke, Ticonderoga missiles, Automat Mk2, Exocet, Tomahawk, SM-6. Harpoon radar and defense, 2D radar, CIWS Aegis, SPY-1D, Phalanx Block 1B active fleet size, 110 surface combatants, 90+ destroyers worldwide. One side fields a fleet that can project power across oceans. The other defends a coastline, with fewer ships, older systems, but deep determination. If both forces found themselves in the same patch of sea, the balance would seem obvious. And yet warfare has rarely been about numbers alone. Imagine this scenario. U.S. destroyers maintaining a patrol line roughly 100 nautical miles off the Venezuelan coast. Electronic eyes sweep the sea, monitoring everything from fishing vessels to naval signals. On the shore, Venezuelan radar stations light up faint contacts, the unmistakable signatures of American hulls. Within hours, Caracas issues an order. Shadow them. Stay visible. A pair of Guaycari corvettes move out, shadowing the intruders at a cautious distance. The crews are tense but calm. They know that even a single mistake, a misread radar blip, a warning shot too close, could escalate everything. What if one missile leaves its launcher by accident? The day wears on. The distance narrows from 80 nautical miles to 60, then 40. American surveillance drones orbit overhead. The U.S. ships maintain radio silence, their radars sweeping rhythmically. Then, somewhere inside a Venezuelan command post, a radar operator detects something unusual. A spike of electromagnetic noise that looks like targeting. Alarms sound. Moments later, one of Venezuela's ships switches its fire control radar into active mode. Not firing, just painting the target for tracking. Instantly, the Aegis combat system aboard the Arleigh Burke detects the lock. Within seconds, defensive protocols activate. The destroyer prepares for countermeasures, even though no missile has yet left its tube. For 12 long seconds, the world stands still. 12 seconds that separate simulation from catastrophe. Then, silence. The radar lock is broken. The tension eases slightly. But every sailor who lived those 12 seconds will remember them, because they prove just how fragile the peace can be. If one side had reacted half a second faster, would the Caribbean still be calm today? Theoretically, a single Arleigh Burke could overpower the entire Venezuelan fleet. With Aegis SPY-1D radar, it could track and intercept incoming missiles long before they reached lethal range. Its tomahawks could strike naval bases hundreds of kilometers inland. In contrast, Venezuela's automatic missiles have a range of barely 180 kilometers, barely enough to reach the edge of the exclusion zone. And yet, there's one variable no radar can calculate: willpower. Naval analysts call it asymmetrical persistence, when a smaller force refuses to back down, forcing a larger one to remain cautious, constrained, aware. It's not about winning a battle, it's about shaping behavior. Every Venezuelan ship that leaves port signals something. We're still here, we're still watching. At the Pentagon, strategists understand this well. The show of force is meant to deter, not destroy. It's a reminder of reach, but the act of deterrence cuts both ways. For every American destroyer at sea, there's a Venezuelan radar operator staring back, finger hovering over a console, wondering if this will be the day the line is crossed. Elsewhere, Moscow and Havana issue brief, cautious statements. We are observing developments closely, they say. Words that seem harmless, but in diplomacy, every syllable is measured. Because if the Caribbean ever became a theater of confrontation, the ripples would reach far beyond its warm waters. In this standoff, no missile is fired, no ship sunk, but power is still being tested. It's not about explosions, it's about endurance, messaging, and psychology. The U.S. Navy demonstrates that it can appear on Venezuela's doorstep at will. Venezuela, by responding visibly, signals that it will not vanish quietly from the radar of global politics. At sunset, the ships drift apart, distant silhouettes against the fading orange sky. From the shore, the lights of Caracas shimmer faintly, while out at sea, American destroyers turn slowly northward. The tension recedes, but not entirely. For in every movement, every course correction, lies a question that no admiral can truly answer. How close is too close? In the end, there was no battle. only a performance of readiness. Yet, in today's fragile world, even a performance can become the spark of misunderstanding. Each time a destroyer leaves port, each time a frigate sets sail, it carries not only weapons but consequences. Because modern conflict doesn't always begin with fire. Sometimes it begins with proximity and pride. So, how many Venezuelan warships would it take to challenge an Arleigh Burke? On paper, perhaps a dozen. In reality, none. Because the battle might never be fought with missiles or guns, but with signals, maneuvers, and the silent language of deterrence. The sea remembers every gesture, and the Caribbean, once again, holds its breath. What do you think? Could Venezuela truly stand its ground, or is this a symbolic standoff destined to fade with the tide? Share your thoughts below, and if you enjoy exploring the unseen dimensions of military power, the strategy, the psychology, and the what-ifs, subscribe to Novastra Defense. This story, like all our analyses, is a strategic simulation, not a prediction, and never an endorsement of war. Because understanding conflict is the first step toward preventing it.